Hello everyone, and welcome to JoJolion Chapter 91 review and discussion. And guys, I know I'm late. I'm about 12 days late to this review, which is totally out of character for me. I'm usually right on the new JoJolion chapters, right when they come out. But guys, when I tell you that October was not my month, that is the understatement of the year. October was rough. I let you guys know over on Twitter that because of personal reasons, I was going to be just taking a complete break from YouTube. And then when I was ready to come back to do JoJolion, I got sick, and you can probably still hear it in my voice. So terrible shit happened earlier in the month, like end of September, and then I got sick like a week ago, and I'm like just recovering from it. So I need to do JoJolion chapter review now because I'm feeling better. Everything's good, guys. Trust me. No need to worry about me or anything. But I'm ready to talk about JoJolion because I read the chapter right when it came out, and like we all know, you guys have read it if you guys are watching this because I'm late. Crazy shit happened this chapter, and I really wanted to talk about it for a while. And I would have waited longer because I usually don't like making videos when my voice is like all nasty from being sick, but I'm traveling in a few days, and I'm not going to get back for like 14 days or something. Well, not 14 days, like a week or so. And by the time I get back, then JoJolion Chapter 92 is going to be out. So I got to do this now, and then like when I get back from my trip, then it'll be time for JoJolion Chapter 92. But that's enough of me, guys. Sorry for going on. I've made you guys wait long enough. Let's get right into it. JoJolion Chapter 91. So the cover page starts off with Josuke doing a stand rush. I feel like that's been the cover page for the last like 3 months now, and it is Dangerous Pursuit Part 3. So good old DP Part 3. The first, I'm going to go through this kind of quick because I want to get to the good stuff that's happening later on. The first 7 pages of this chapter, so since it's been a while, hold on, let's slow down. Let's take it easy, xForts. Let's not rush this or anything. So it's been a while, guys, so let's recap on JoJolion real quick, see where everyone's at. The chapter picks off with Toru talking to Yasuo, right where we left off at the end of chapter 90, which was the last chapter where the head doctor's face was finally revealed. Mr. Peanut head looking ass. So it's kind of crazy. It usually doesn't happen where you pick up right where you left off, but yeah, we're back here still on the street with Yasuo and Toru. So, Yasuo and Toru are together. Josuke is on his way to the hospital after being attacked by the head doctor's stand when the rain fell on him. He got really injured. A rain droplet that had the properties of a bullet went through his head. But apparently he's good, though. So he's going to the hospital, and Mamazuku, I believe, is going to prison. Josuke hospital, Mamazuku prison, Yasuo and Toru together, Higashikata family is all together back at their house. So that's what everyone's up to. And for the first few pages here, we just kind of have Araki explaining things to us through Yasuo. So Yasuo is, of course, like, how do you know what the head doctor looks like? How did you even take that picture? And he's like, well, I work with the guy, and I just decided to take a picture of him, which again is really sketchy, because who does that? Have you ever been at work and it's like, hey boss, let me just cap a candid of you real quick? No, that doesn't happen. Toru's sketchy. I still think that this stand that we have been in this whole arc so far, the Dangerous Pursuit, it's either Toru's or the head doctor's, leaning more on the Toru side of things after this chapter especially. And like I said last time, it was a few chapters ago, maybe last chapter review, I can't remember, it's been a while, but I was talking about how I don't believe that the head doctor is a real person. I think it's a projection. I think it's a creation of a stand, or it's just something about him is just off. He's two places, he's too many places at the same time, and he's just moving around too quickly. And there's just something really weird. But then, of course, Araki debunked my theory and we saw his face. But even after this chapter, I know he has a face, but something is still just so suspicious. There's so much mystery around the Dangerous Pursuit arc right now. And the one thing that Yasuo expresses is that when she sees the head doctor, she kind of is putting the pieces together. She's like, okay, the head doctor was taking care of Mitsuba. And this was before even Wotomaki, what the hell was that guy's name? Wutomaki, I think it was. So yeah, during that arc, we saw that Wutomaki was Mitsuba's doctor, and he was taking care of her and everything. So apparently, what Yasuo deducts is that this picture was taken before Mitsuba even started seeing Wutomaki's. This maybe was a few weeks ago or a few months ago, and the head doctor had some sort of interest in Mitsuba. And remember, during the Wutomaki arc, everyone was like, well, this is clearly just extortion. Why would everyone, why is Mitsuba continuing to go back to this hospital? It's like, well, what happens when she goes there? She goes to the hospital, they use not the new Rokakaka, but they use the old Rokakaka. They fix her up, and then another part of her breaks, equivalent exchange. And so we're like, well, why are they doing this? Well, they're extorting her because she has that Higashikata bill. She has all that money that, Jobin has and from the family. So that's kind of what we thought. But now it turns out that the reason why they were extorting her and the reason why she was coming back and back is because I guess the head doctor and the other rock humans were trying to gain intel in the Higashikata family. It's kind of funny when you think about it. When you go to the dentist or the doctor and they're like, oh, how's your summer? How's the kids? How's everything? everything. Yeah, but Mitsuba was doing that, but these were rock humans. They were like, oh, they were like taking notes on the family, making sure like what everyone's up to. Like, so Mitsuba, you have any like Rokakakas coming to the house anytime soon? You know, any new grafted branches, you know, waddle through your house anytime? Just making small talk, okay? Nothing suspicious going on here. What the hell am I even talking about? Okay, anyways, I told you guys I was excited to talk about this chapter review. Or I was excited to like do this chapter review because, oh my god, let's just get into it. I'm sick of Toru. I'm sick of seeing Toru and Yasuo. Are you guys sick of Toru yet? Every time he's on screen, he doesn't do anything. Like, I think like, oh, Toru's in this chapter. Maybe something will be revealed. Maybe we'll see that he's a bad guy. But it's like, his dialogue is so useless every time we see him. He's just like, God, I do not like this character, at least right now. So that wraps up the first half of the chapter, and Yasuo is trying to get to the Higashikata family. So she's like, head doctor, he had a picture with Mitsuba. Mitsuba's in danger. I got to go to the Higashikata estate. And also during this introduction, she uses Paisley Park. I don't really know what she does with Paisley Park. She just kind of sends it out and it goes into the power lines. And then she's like, all right, let's get in this van over here and drive to the estate. It's like, why'd you even use Paisley Park? Unless she's like using Paisley Park in the power lines and like getting Paisley Park to the estate faster than she is. So maybe she can get in like the household security, maybe tap in and maybe like spy on them through her cell phone while she's on the way there. I could actually see that happening. That might happen. So now into the scene shift. We're on page 8 here, guys, for those following along at home. We see Tsurugi melting, being affected by the rock disease. And I forgot that we already saw this happen because during this chapter, the first page, you see Tsurugi's like face melting and I was like, oh my god, it's happening. Tsurugi's actually being affected by the rock disease. This is the climax of JoJolion. I made a Tsurugi discussion video like 2 years ago, and one of my biggest predictions for JoJolion is that, you know, JoJolion is a hot mess, dude. It is a dumpster fire of a part. Not in a bad way. I really like JoJolion. It's one of my favorite parts, and I enjoy reading it every month, and I think it has so many good elements. But, like, when it comes to trying to predict what is going to happen in this part, it is a goddamn anomaly, dude. Who knows what's going to happen? Like, who thought Ojiro was going to come back? Like, you cannot predict anything. But the one thing that I knew, like, years ago, probably like in 2016, I think I made this video, was that the climax of JoJolion is going to be Tsurugi getting sick. That was foreshadowed way earlier in the part. It's been foreshadowed a lot of times, and it's like, that is the one thing that I know consistently will happen in this part. That is the one predictable event. And I always said that it was going to happen at the climax of JoJolion, because then it's like, well, what implications does that have? Tsurugi's sick. Someone has to make a sacrifice. That seems like a pretty big event, have a climax of a part or have a part end on. So I'm like, we're chapter 92, guys. Tsurugi's getting the rock disease. Araki is this, at least to me, this is screaming on times. 2 years from now, we're in like chapter 110. Next chapter, guys, we're really getting to the end here. It's the part that never ends. That's what it is. So Tsurugi's being affected by the rock disease, and this was foreshadowed, or this was actually shown in chapter 88, I believe it was. It was during the Ojiro fight when Jobin actually killed Ojiro when he stole the Rokakaka back. Tsurugi was having like the effects where we saw his face melting, and like I didn't really know what that was at first. It's like, well, is he transforming because of his change of heart? Because around that same time, we had that monologue from, it was like a narration from Araki that was like, when someone has a, very dramatic change in heart, say they're a really good person, but they start to do really bad things and they start to like, waver off the path of justice, that can also have a change in their stand ability. And like, I thought that was happening to Tsurugi because his stand was acting differently. And we also saw the flash forward of him like killing Norisuke, or at least what we think it was. We saw Tsurugi carrying Norisuke out of his study in a body bag, and it's like, okay, Tsurugi, something crazy is going to happen with him soon enough. But apparently what that was him being affected by the rock disease. And I don't know what day this is. I know there's all of you guys on JoJolion 4chan and JoJolion Reddit that are like mapping out the days leading up to the harvest. I couldn't be bothered, man. I'm just reading this as it comes out. So I don't know what day this is. I don't know when the harvest is. I don't know what's happening tomorrow. I'm just reading this as it comes. But I think I actually did see one post. I think the scene where Norisuke is quote unquote dead, that is tomorrow in JoJolion time, based on where we are right now, seeing Tsurugi be affected by the rock disease. Which is interesting. We'll see how events play out here. So continuing forward in the chapter, we see that Mitsuba notices the same newspaper, and she, again, like Yasuo, was putting all the pieces together. Mitsuba has her own moment of realization where she's like, very strange things are happening. Like, Ojiro and I don't think she knows who Ojiro is, but she definitely knows the woman, because the woman that died, that was Ojiro's girlfriend was a worker something at the school that Tsurugi went to, and Mitsuba actually interacted with her. So she sees that she's dead. She sees that Josuke is a suspect. She knows who Josuke is. And I think there was one other thing. When she saw Jobin hiding the Rokakaka, and also when she saw the head doctor way out in like the by the water, like outside the Higashikata estate. So all those things, she's like, yeah, now that I think about it, there has been some like really weird things happening lately. And she again is like, it's more so like a Rocky speaking to us through his character saying like, guys, don't forget all of this stuff has happened. And she has one quote that I really liked, and it aligns with what I have been saying. She says, it's been like a connection. It's been like a connected series of strange coincidences. And I don't think that exact, phrase has been said before yet since the head doctor stand has been introduced. But that is the way that I describe the head doctor stand. It's just a series of coincidences that affect fate in a way, which is really strange. And I'm going to go on a rant later about the head doctor stand, man. But speaking of that, we're actually here right now. So Mitsuba is putting together all these pieces. She's she knows that like a power is involved. She's like, there's some sort of power that is making these coincidences happen. And just so happens, while she's talking about that, she is outside cooking on like the patio at the Higashikata estate, and there's the head doctor again. And I don't know what day this is. I don't know when the last time we saw the head doctor is. Araki hasn't been giving us enough timestamps. Remember before when it was like, so-and-so hours, so-and-so days before the harvest? I feel like we haven't got one of those in like 3 chapters. Like, come on, Araki, I'm confused here, man. I don't know what the hell's happening. I don't know what day it is. I don't know where people are supposed to be. But anyways, the head doctor shows up, and he's just vibing, dude. Like, he doesn't even make eye contact with her. He's just walking away from her. And it's just, when this scene happened, it made me realize it's like, dude, that if this is the head doctor's stand, I don't like this. I think this is pretty stupid, actually. So immediately, Mitsuba's like, hey, head doctor, is that you? Boom, she chops her fingers off as she's cutting, and then she like falls to the ground, and then a pot of boiling water like falls over and hits her as well. And the way she described it, she goes like, it's a series of strange coincidences, and it reminds me of like the sequences in Final Destination. If you guys have never seen those movies, it'll be like just like a lead up of like stupid things happening that leads to a character's death. But it's like, this is like the Final Destination stand right now. And when I saw this, it's like, what is interesting about this? Wherever this guy is, I mean, Mitsuba wasn't even pursuing him. She had no intent of pursuing the head doctor. Mitsuba was just vibing, actually, and she was just chilling, and the head doctor just walks past, and she's like, hey, head doctor. So without even the intent to pursue, he can just affect her. He doesn't need to reveal his stand. He doesn't even need to do anything. He just needs to exist, and he just makes the other person really clumsy, and they just hurt themselves. And like, the more we've seen the stand so many goddamn times at this point too, it's to the point where I'm like kind of sick of it. Like, think about, I don't really like comparing parts to parts because each part is unique and each part has special things about it. But like, I'm thinking about like Funny Valentine when he was introduced in Steel Ball Run, and we saw him use D4C in so many interesting ways. Like, he would bring himself from another dimension in, and he would like, fight people 3-on-1, or he would drag people into another dimension and then have them collide. And he just did so many creative things with D4C to the point where it's like, it's one of my favorite stands of all time. And like, when I'm reading Steel Ball Run and I'm reading the D4C parts, I'm always interested seeing the different ways Funny Valentine uses his stand. But like, I'm bored of this stand already, and I don't even know what its name is. I guess I know what it looks like because it was the stand that attacked Mamazuku and Josuke at the hospital and in the car, but like, the stand doesn't even have a name yet, and I'm already bored of it, and I don't even like its ability. Like, are any of us like on the same page here? Because it's like, it's hard to explain, because it's like, what does the stand do that's very interesting? It makes you bump into things. It makes you just like stop. It makes things hit you. It's like, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. How many times have we seen it so far? We saw Mamazuku bump into things. We saw Josuke bump into things. We saw Yasuo bump into things. Now we're seeing Mitsuba bump into things. And we also saw it happen at Tsurugi's school when Tsurugi's friend knocked into like the bars or whatever. So it's like, we've already seen this stand used a total of like 6 times, and I don't even know what its name is. It hasn't been properly introduced, and I'm already sick of it. To me, I don't know, man. It's just, if it was an interesting ability, maybe I would be more invested, but it's like, it just makes the character attack themselves. Like, what is so interesting about Mamazuku running into a coat rack? Or Mitsuba falling over? Or accidentally chopping her fingers off? Like, yeah, I guess it's interesting to draw, but for me, man, this is this ability is one of the lamest I've seen in a while, and I rarely complain about JoJo. Like I'm usually like just like an Iraqi dick rider. Like I like everything this guy does, but for me, this head doctor stand is just like not interested. I guess we're just gonna have to wait until we get like that full page that explains how the stand works, what triggers its ability, its range, and all that stuff. Like once we get a proper explanation of what the stand actually does, maybe I'll be more interested in it when I actually know like what its triggers are and its effective range and just what it does. But knocking into people, again, not very cool. And now that the fact that I've seen it, a total of like 5 times throughout the past like 4 chapters, I'm just a bit sick of it. But now we've reached the part of the chapter that was the most exciting I have been in a while reading JoJolion, and it is Tsurugi fully being consumed by his rock disease. And the way it's happening is unlike anything I ever would have predicted. So we've seen characters before be affected by the rock disease. We saw Rina Joestar way back, and I believe the Legend of Johnny Joestar arc when she was being affected by it, and then it was passed on to George. So we saw 2 people, and then I believe we saw one of the elder Norisuke's. I don't believe that they had a name, but it might have been like Norisuke's grandfather or something like that. No, we actually did see Norisuke being affected, and we've also seen Jobin being affected as well. So we kind of have an idea of how the rock disease works and how it consumes people, but Tsurugi's is like, it's a completely different case. He is transforming, and it is like the last thing I could have thought of. So it's also interesting to think about that the head doctor's stand is also targeting Tsurugi. Why is it targeting Tsurugi? Who the hell knows? Because when the pot of boiling water falls off the stove, I believe a droplet lands on Tsurugi's face and it crushes him and it like turns his face, it like shatters it. And because of course he's being affected by the rock disease, he's kind of like turning to stone. So he shatters like a plate of glass or something. And when that happens, Tsurugi just starts to like morph and you see almost like a stand come out of him, which was like, I did not expect this. I did not expect this, and it's really exciting. Although it's also very painful seeing one of my favorite characters in JoJolion, my boy Tsurugi, like dying kind of, because it's like, it just looks so painful, man. It's hard to describe. It's one of like the most like gruesome things I've seen in the part so far too, because it's not like you're being cut open or anything. It's like you're dying from the inside, and like kind of looks like he's like a video game character like glitching out or something, like his model's freaking out. But what it looks like is that Paper Moon Kane is consuming Tsurugi, or he's like turning into Paper Moon Kane in a way that's just completely uncontrollable, and he's turning into origami. And this got me thinking, why didn't this happen to Jobin? Because I was like, okay, so we've seen the rock disease happen a handful of times. So what makes Tsurugi's case any different from Jobin's per se? And I was thinking it's like, well, I guess maybe it's because he already has his stand developed. I doubt all the other Higashikata family members, when they were so young, around 10 years old, they probably didn't have a stand when they were being affected by the rock disease. And then I thought, well, Jobin had speed cane, if you guys remember in the flashback, because Jobin used speed cane as he was, still like in the middle of his rock disease progression. So I was like, well, okay, well, what else is there about Tsurugi that makes him unique? He's having his change of heart. He's doing more evil things. He's working with Jobin. That change of heart and that more like, malicious intent that he has, maybe that's the reason why he's evolving now and the rock disease affecting him so differently. But then I also remembered, well, Jobin was also very dark, and when he was being affected by the rock disease, he killed a kid. Like, he literally held speed cane up and he murdered someone. So I'm thinking it's like, I don't see any difference between Jobin's rock disease and Tsurugi's rock disease. All the credentials are pretty much the same. They're both doing bad shit. I mean, Jobin arguably worse. Jobin killed someone, literally, like, his own intent. So Jobin killed someone and he had a stand, but when he was affected by the rock disease, it was just, like all the other times. Like, he got the scars on his face, he was cracking, and obviously what saved him was Kato exchanging the child's life that he took, and she buried him in the ground, and then it was like an equivalent exchange, something like that, if I'm remembering correctly. So I'm just thinking, like, because it was so unexpected, it's like, why is this happening to Tsurugi? And I can't yet figure out exactly why this is happening to him. But if I had to guess, I guess it's just the change of heart, and for some reason that didn't happen to Jobin. But I'm super infatuated with this because it's like one of the last things I ever would have expected. I expected Tsurugi to just like get sick and be like, oh my god, I can't do anything, I'm incapacitated, and then one of the family members would be like, all right, I'll sacrifice myself to save your life. But this is like totally not what I saw was going to happen. And also during the sequence, you have a lot of things happening. Every member of the Higashikata family house is there. I mean, you have Daya Hato, that's her name. Yes, I haven't seen her in a while, but I do remember her name. You have Daya Hato, Norisuke, and Joshu. Like, they're all together, and they're all like, oh my god, this is all happening to Tsurugi. And if apparently Tsurugi is supposed to murder Norisuke tomorrow, I don't know how this is going to happen, because when we saw that in the flash forward, it looked like Tsurugi was like by himself. Everything was really calm. I couldn't see things being calm in just a day's time from now. Like, shit looks like it's really heating up, and like, I don't know how. So think about this. We know what happens in the future. In the future, Tsurugi's going to be fine. Maybe he goes through this transformation and he just turns into like evil Tsurugi or something, and then he kills Norisuke. But I mean, shit is going down right now, but we know Tsurugi, at least his physical body, is going to be there tomorrow. So he is somehow going to overcome this. So then we get into the last part of the chapter, the third act. Oh, and also in the middle part, I wanted to point out how like I thought it was like kind of heartbreaking how when Tsurugi is being affected, you see a shot of Jobin, and Jobin is like pale. He looks so like scared. It's like, oh shit, who's going to sacrifice themselves for Tsurugi? Well, since we know what happens in the future and Tsurugi's fine, I don't know. Obviously, we know it's not Norisuke, or maybe Norisuke did sacrifice himself, and maybe that's why Tsurugi was carrying him out in a body bag. I don't know. We'll have to see. Like I said, JoJolion is completely unpredictable. I would love to see Jobin step up and be a man, really like take the initiative in his life for once and do something honorable and be like, Tsurugi, I am your father. I will sacrifice myself so you can live your life that you deserve. I think that would be cool for Jobin, and I really wouldn't mind if Jobin died that way. That is like the best way Jobin could possibly die. So now getting into the last part of the chapter, it's just a few pages here, and we see Josuke is at the TG University Hospital again, so his plan all worked out. The reason why he injured himself and the reason why he wanted to get to the hospital is so he could wake up and then be at the hospital where Akafu, the head doctor, has a lecture. So I guess the plan doesn't even make sense anymore, because like, Josuke was like, I just need to make it so I'm not pursuing the head doctor. If I'm not pursuing the head doctor, he can't hurt me. Well, apparently what we just saw with Mitsuba and Tsurugi and everyone else he's affected, it doesn't matter if you're trying to pursue him or not. The head doctor, if he's just around you, can affect you with his stand. And actually, it turns out he doesn't even need to be around you, because this chapter ends with someone coming up to Josuke and trying to like get in his way, and then he runs into him. So it's like the head doctor isn't in this hospital room. I don't even know if he's at the hospital, but Josuke is still being affected by his stand, which again leads more on the side that this stand could possibly be Toro's, and it is a long-range remote control stand. So that is a very viable theory right now. And again, like I mentioned earlier, how I'm kind of sick of seeing people run into each other. That's how this chapter ends off. And like this chapter, I kind of skipped through like the last few pages here, but one funny thing is that we see that Josuke has his hat off, but we don't see his hair. That's one of the things I want to see before JoJolion ends. I want to see Josuke without his hat on and just all of his hair. We were so close this chapter, but we didn't get it. So this officer comes up to Josuke or whatever, and he's trying to like get in his way, and Josuke is like, okay, this must be the head doctor's stand, and he puts a soft and wet bubble up to his ear, pops it, fractures his eardrums, kind of like Seko from part 5, and then the guy just like falls on Josuke, and you can tell by the way like all the blood that comes out of Josuke's body, this is the head doctor's stand. Oh, excuse me. Because of how like vigorous it is and how violent it was, how he fell into him. And that's how the chapter ends. But we do get a little note at the end that says there is a lecture for regenerative medicine at the TG University Hospital today at 11 o'clock by Akafu Satori, I think his name is. So yeah, looks like he's giving a lecture on Rokakakas as well. And that is chapter 91, guys. I feel like I was kind of toxic this chapter. I feel like I kind of hated on JoJolion. But let me know what you guys thought about chapter 91 it is, yes, and it won't be too long before we're in chapter 92, at least for me, because like I said again, I'm going to be traveling a little bit, so by the time I get home, it'll be like right around the time for new JoJolion, so that'll be exciting as well. But guys, something's got to change here. If I have to read another chapter of people just bumping into each other, I'm going to lose a little interest. I need to know a musical reference. I'm like musical reference deprived right now. Like, I feel like, what was the last musical reference we had? Awaken 3 Leaves? Which wasn't even like a real musical reference. I listened to the band a little bit. I can't even remember. It wasn't even like a real band or something. It was some real like experimental shit. Like, I want like a nice pop culture or just like a really, recognizable like classic rock reference or something. I need a good musical reference in JoJo. It's been too long. Dr. Wu was a good one actually though. So that's going to be JoJolion Chapter 91, guys. Thank you so much for watching the review. Like, comment, and subscribe to help me out. Turn on notifications as well to never miss out on future videos. Be here ASAP Rocky. And yeah, guys, I'm back. I had a really bad month last month. I'm sorry for not posting. I'm sorry this video's late, but I'm a-okay, guys, so no need to worry about me. And just thank you guys for watching. I love you. I'll talk to you guys all real soon, and I got a lot of big projects coming up relatively soon. December is going to be a big month. So again, thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you later. Peace.